This is my Goal Zero micro charge, and in this video we'll be testing for its brightness, light modes, mobile charging, runtime, lighting distance, waterproofing, and more. Out of the box, this is what I got: a lightweight carabiner, the microcharge itself, and the packaging. This comes in demo mode with instructions on how to get it out of demo mode. When it's still in demo and you hit the power button, it'll cycle between all the modes automatically. So just plug it into a USB port. It comes partially charged, so you'd see one of the indicator lights blinking. It's out of demo mode, and now we can start using it properly. To charge this up, you can use the built-in USB input at the bottom right here. So if your port is a bit recessed, the built-in USB won't fit because it's a little bit short, so it won't charge. You'd need a separate head instead, just a minor con to keep in mind. As for the charge time, based on a 5-volt 1A output, that should take about 3.5 hours. But when I did exactly this, I used a USB port of almost exactly 5 volts and 1A. My charge time would come in at about 4 hours and 40 minutes instead. Now, whenever the indicator lights are blinking, that means that this is still charging. It's only fully charged when all 4 lights are solid. As for the charging output, there's a USB port at the bottom of the microcharge. Just plug your phone cable in, and this will also give you an output of about 5 volts and 1A. Now here were my results when I did this test with my iPhone 12. I started the test at about 17% battery and ended it at about 85%. That's a total charge of 68%. Time taken was about 1 hour and 35 minutes. And when I redid this test a few times, even if you start at about the same charge levels that I did, you sometimes get as little as 60% charge and sometimes as much as 70% charge. To see how much of a charge you have left, you can use these 4 indicator lights at the top. Are these lights accurate though? Here are my test results when I ran the lights on all these different tests. The charging input and the mobile charging tests were pretty accurate. But when it came to using the different light modes, the accuracy was not great. At 3 lights, there's less than 2/3 of battery left. 2 lights, less than a quarter of battery left, and 1 light is very critically low battery. Also take note that the dimmer you run your lights, the less accurate the battery lights become. The microcharge has only one power button controlling all the light modes. One minor con here is that the button is flushed with the surface, so it can take some time to turn it on in the dark, more if you're wearing gloves. Now here's how it works. Pressing the power button once will cycle first to the brightest flashlight mode. Pressing it again will bring you to the brightest full lantern mode where all 4 LEDs are lighted. The last mode will then be the brightest half lantern mode where only 2 of the LEDs are lighted. And pressing the button again will turn the entire thing off. Now, if you want to dim the lights, just get into any mode, then press and hold the button. The lights will dim, and when it blinks, this means that it is now in the dimmest setting. As for runtimes, here are all the official specs of the microcharge, ranging from between 80 to 170 hours on the dimmest settings and between 7 to 15 hours on the brightest settings. Now, compared to the official specs that we saw, here's how my tested results compare. On all the brightest modes, the specs were pretty accurate, give or take only about an hour or so. But on the dimmest modes, I got much longer runtimes. For the flashlight, I got 2.5 times more runtime. For the full lantern, I got almost 3 times more runtime. And for the half lantern, I got about 1.5 times more runtime. As for the lantern's lumen output, that comes in at most 150 lumens apparently. To test for this lumen output, I used a light meter. And based on everything you just saw, here were all my tested results. 3 things to take note of here. 1, I got almost double the number of lumens on the brightest setting. 2, the half lantern will give you a slightly less bright light. And 3, the dimmest settings are just 0 lumen night lights. As for the flashlight lumen output, that comes in at 120 lumens. To test this, I used a very rough bounce test to estimate the number of lumens. Now, here's everything you need to know. These are the 2 modes that I tested, these are the official specs, and here are my own tested results. The 2 most important columns to look out for is the official specs and my own lumen output. On the brightest setting, I got half the lumen output, and on the dimmest setting, I got only a 0 lumen nightlight. There's a closed hook at the top, which can be clipped to either side, and you can hang this up on open lantern loops. For closed lantern loops, just attach the provided carabiner. The IP rating on the microcharge is IPX6. This means that it can take heavy rains and even water jet. So first, I tested this in 30 minutes of heavy rain. And after the heavy rain test, I found that it was still working great. So next, I tested this in 10 minutes of strong water jets. After this next test, I found that all the modes still work great. However, I noticed that my battery indicator lights just don't turn off anymore. They also sometimes flicker on and off, but for the most part, they just don't go off at all. I think it's because the USB output port is exposed. Too much water got in during the jet test and then never came out. As for quality, this is made of what feels to be pretty high-grade plastic, I think. I've dropped it from hand height quite a few times now, and it always still works fine, and it doesn't even scratch up the surface at all. Some additional info: there's simultaneous recharge and discharge, so you can use it even when charging. And this micro flash is designed in the US, but made in China. As for warranty, the microcharge comes with a 2-year warranty. Now for portability, I first measured the weight of the charge, and that came in at about 3.03 ounces. As for the pack size, the dimensions come in at 4.4 inches for the length and about 1.5 inches across the top. For pros, I really liked how portable the microcharge is. It's easy to hold, it's very compact, and it's relatively lightweight. This tiny thing also packs a ton of features, complete with not just the 2-in-1 flashlight and lantern functions, but also indicator lights, completely adjustable brightness settings, a half lantern feature for conserving a bit of battery, and you can even use it to recharge your phone and other devices. Although one feature it doesn't have is a memory setting. I thought that this was a bit of an issue because the default mode is always the brightest, which is quite blinding. It does have really good runtimes on the low brightness settings though, and here's a quick summary of everything you need to know. On these low brightness modes, the number of lumens is 0, but still, I noticed that it was enough for like reading and lounging about. And last but not least, the mobile charging function was also quite impressive. If you haven't seen my rechargeable camping lanterns review, where I bought and tested 12 different camping lights, here are all the battery capacities of everything I tested there. The microcharger's capacity of 2,600 mAh should give me no more than like 50+% of battery charge, but I tend to get a range of at least 60% to sometimes even up to like 70%. But of course, the charge time on this was more than an hour longer than what I expected, even though I used a recommended 5V 1A output. If this video has been helpful so far, please help me hit that like button. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. And perhaps the biggest con is that the flashlight isn't very strong. It's not for anyone looking for like a serious like high beam, high distance flashlight. When I compare it to microcharge to 2 other lights, here's what I noticed. The lumen count is very low compared to the UCO lantern flashlights, so the beam distance is also much shorter than what you'd expect. But if you're looking for all the features that this microcharge has, I think it's a great feature-rich jack of all trades camping light. It's great value for money, provided you're only doing like casual and like leisure activities, not extreme ones. I know this because I tested the microcharge against 6 other lantern flashlights in this video on the screen. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in that one.